We are here today in our continuing series on emerging companies with Andrew Burke, who is the CEO of Bluberi Gaming, which is a slot machine and software company based out of Canada, but moving, as I understand it, to Las Vegas, where it's currently, where Andrew is located. And we might mention that Bluberi is owned by Catalyst Capital Group, which is a private equity firm out of Canada. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Andrew, let's start off with the assumption that a lot of folks don't know much about Bluberi.
Sure.
Maybe you can give us a little overview of the company.
Yeah, so thanks again for having me, Frank. But Bluberi is a company that's been around for a really long time. It started in the 1980s as a company called Labtronics, and it was focused on really game software. And so the whole DNA of the company was around technology and developing games. And sort of in the late 90s, they had a lot of success, actually in partnership with a number of the big Class 2 providers like AGS and Cadillac Jack, by creating their own Class 2 platform that they licensed to those companies to distribute. And so they created some of the biggest hit titles in the Class 2 space, like Royal Reels, Liberty Sevens, Cool Cats, Diamond Lotto, and eventually struck a kind of a partnership with AGS, where AGS was the sole distributor of their product for a number of years. And then, having some success in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, they kind of got in a little bit over their heads and tried to double down and become a real proper gaming manufacturer, but didn't make it and ended up in bankruptcy court in about 2017. That's when Catalyst Capital came on the scene and has, brought the business since out of bankruptcy and, worked for a few years to try to streamline operations, and then brought me in starting in January to take the company in a different direction. So
tell us a little bit about your product lines.
Sure. So, primarily our products are Class 2 in nature. We do have a Class 3 business, although it's small, it's mighty. But really we're experts at Class 2. That's where our roots are. That's where the beginning of this business is. We have about 1,100 games out on recurring revenue across the U.S. Very few actually in Oklahoma, which is the biggest Class 2 market, but we have games in Alabama, Washington State, and Florida with the Miccosukee tribe. And that's really been the DNA of our business. Now, our hope is, as we move forward, to strengthen our Class 2 business, grow our Class 3 business, and also build some unique, truly unique products going forward.
Now, as you mentioned, Andrew, you came in January as CEO, and you talked about a new direction. Tell us what that direction is, what your vision is for this company.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of small companies in this space suffer from some of the same challenges. And it's really like a sort of, over my time in the space, it's been 15 years now, I've developed this checklist. And so, a lot of small businesses end up over-investing in licenses, trying to go to too many jurisdictions, over-investing in inventory, believing their product is going to be the best product that's ever come out, and sort of under-investing in processes, discipline, and financial rigor. And so as I've come on board, I brought on a new CFO. His name's John Helderman. He was formerly with Caesars Entertainment on their capital committee for a long time, to institute that real financial rigor. And then it's about building a great business. And so our motto and our North Star that we're going by here is that we want to be the easiest company to do business with in the space. We can't control a lot of different things that are going on in the business. We can't control what's going on with COVID. We can't control if, all of our games are going to be huge hits, but we certainly can control being the easiest company to do business with. And so we're working on kind of reducing friction throughout the organization to make us an easy company to do business with, and sort of use our size and speed, as an advantage as we work to grow this company.
One of the things we know about gaming is that licensing is a key.
Yep.
You've got a lot of white space to fill in. And
Absolutely.
licensing also is an expensive and time-consuming process. What is your plan for geographic expansion?
So a couple of things, when I joined the company, I was surprised to find that we have 100 gaming licenses today. Many of those are tribal in nature. There's something like 350, jurisdictions in North America that you need to get licensed in. So, we're still at the beginning stages of that. But really, what I want to focus on is density. So, we have a license in California, we have operations in Nevada, but we're not licensed in Arizona and New Mexico yet. So those are kind of natural places for us to start looking where we can build some density, make sure we have service support, sales support, and the real infrastructure to support the business. So every year we're going to systematically add a handful of licenses kind of in and around where our current business is today and let the product sort of catch up, if you will. So once we have really great product that we know our customers want, we can then accelerate the licensing process and bring in to the new markets product that everybody's asking for. I think a lot of times people get caught up with this idea of let's get licensed everywhere, but it's sort of like the dog catching the car. You get licensed and you go, oh, our product wasn't ready for that. Our service team wasn't ready for that. Our sales team wasn't ready for that. And so we want to really make sure, and keeping back to our process, our promise of being the easiest company to do business with, that we have the infrastructure required to support these new licenses and markets.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of blocking, tackling, systems,
Absolutely.
execution.
Yeah, it's simple but not easy.
Right. One thing that people would say is a few years ago, we had this idea that there was IGT and 3 or 4 other companies trailing behind them, all with the same R&D budgets, but smaller market shares. And when we went through this phase of consolidation several years ago, the feeling was, well, now this is really an oligarchy. And yet what we've seen is companies like Incredible and AGS and other small companies rise up and begin to take significant share. Is there room for yet one more competitor in that space?
Oh, I sure hope so. And we believe so. And I think that we have to do things differently to earn that spot. The things that worked for AGS or for Every or for Incredible probably won't work for us. Some of those playbooks will work, but I really do think for anybody that wants to build differentiated product, there's a real need for that in the business. I think, as you look at that oligarchy, more and more of the products in the business look the same. They're great products. They're beautiful. They're high value and high quality, but they're very similar. And so I think, what needs to happen and what we hope to do is to build some really interesting, creative, differentiated products that can really make us stand apart and hopefully just get a little small piece of that pie.
On your website, you have a section that says that Bluberi strives to redefine the landscape of gaming and be at the forefront of R&D by bringing forth our own methodology and advancements in predictive analytics, insights, gaming behavior. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, first, clearly somebody smarter than me wrote that because it's very articulate. But I believe to my core that what gets measured gets done. And, we're going to overinvest in data and analytics. One of the first hires that I made was a gentleman that I worked with at AGS named James Prince. He's my director of analytics, and his charge is to make us one of the most analytic businesses in the space. And we're really trying to think differently about the data we collect and then use that data to make unique and different decisions. So, everything from creating scorecards when we roll out products. So, what did we want this product to be? What did we think it was going to be? And how does that measure up 60 days, 90 days, 180 days? But then going a level deeper and trying to work with some of our casino partners to get some real thoughtful player insights on how players are interacting with our products and use that to make different decisions. We like to say that we're data driven but human run because, using the analytics with real experience is where I think you get some really outsized returns on those investments.
You are in the process of consolidating operations from locations in Canada to Las Vegas. You've talked about your plans for intensity as well as geographic growth. If we were to come back 3 or 4 years from now, what would Bluberi or will Bluberi look like?
Well, I hope one much bigger. You know, we're small but mighty right now. I think you'll see that we'll have a strong operational organization in Las Vegas, where we have today finance, accounting, manufacturing, and then you'll have strong R&D and technology in Quebec, which is where our corporate headquarters was originally, and then hopefully some other hubs of technology pockets throughout the country, because we're going to continue to grow and invest in our business. And then I hope that you look at us and say that, one, they're a pleasure to do business with, they're easy to do business with, and two, their product is different. There's things that they're doing that nobody else is doing. And so we have a couple partnerships now that we started. One is with a company called Bazillions, which is owned by Steve Weiss. Steve Weiss is the founder of Casino Data Systems, and he and I partnered in my previous life when I bought Colossal Gaming from him. And so he's also working with us to do some funky, unique things that we hope to bring to market. And I think between building unique products at Bluberi and partnering with Steve's company, you know, we have a really bright future ahead of us.
Okay, great. You are owned by a private equity firm, Crystal Capital, and private equity firms buy companies in order to eventually sell them, sometimes to the public. Is there a point at which Bluberi might become a public company? And if that's in the thought, what would you have to achieve, and maybe what might the timing look like in order for that to happen?
Well, you know, I started my career in private equity, Frank, so it's a model I'm very familiar with. I know that, you know, all of those decisions on whether we go public or, you know, sell to another private equity firm or sell to a manufacturer will be handled at the highest levels of Catalyst, you know, and I think what we're focused on is building value. You know, how do we build value in this asset and create a really great company that's attractive in all sort of scenarios and creates a lot of value for our employees, our shareholders, and our customers. And you know, I think we don't have any kind of timeline. You know, I think Catalyst is in this to see a really good outcome, and it could take some time to do that, but we're sort of optimistic about these early days here.
Okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground, Andrew. Anything else you would like folks to know about Bluberi?
You know, I just want to say that, you know, we really appreciate our customer support during this time. COVID's been, I think, challenging for all. There's no playbook, as some other folks have come on and said, but, you know, we really appreciate all the customers and our employees' support as they've had to make sacrifices during this time. You know, happy to report everybody's back working here. We've got the ship going in the right direction, but look for big things from us. We're excited about the future.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Andrew. It's very informative, very insightful.
Hey, thanks, Frank. Thanks for having me.